Hello everyone, this is Niece at Something Beautiful Handcrafts, and this is the last of the Pleasant Company pattern videos. This is Molly's Pleasant Company patterns. Now I'm currently working in the video on her birthday dress, and I have to apologize because somehow I lost some of the footage. Everything was white. I think I deleted it when I was finishing up Sam's video. So I'll let you know where the parts were skipped. But basically, especially if you're following along with the pattern, I am making the ruffles for the arms of her, I should say sleeves, of her dress. And I'm doing this by hand, just turning under a narrow hem, going along with short stitches, and finishing that edge. Now, after I finish the edge, I'm going to place the rickrack on the edges of the sleeves, ruffles, and I use the 3 different rickracks on the edge. Here's my progress on Molly's pinafore dress. All of the bodice pieces are together and got the sleeves on. Everything is hand stitched, and for the most part I'm going to leave it like that. I might clean up the neckline, but maybe not. I am going to go ahead and machine stitch down the ruffles here now and do the edges. I use some rickrack, as you can see. This is the first time that I've made this gown with the rickrack. I've made it 3 times so far, and this is the first time I actually used real rickrack. I did not use the colors that were originally used, first of all, because like I said, I don't really want to, in this case, I don't want to recreate it. It's actually, Molly's dress is easy to get, and at some point I'll get that particular dress, so I didn't want to have 2 the same as a replica. But also because of the same reason I do anything, is that this is what I had and I wasn't going to buy anything more. And this is kind of cool. So I got these 3 on here, and so far I'm liking it. Okay, after I stitch down the ruffles and zigzag them, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the skirt. So I'm back at the machine again, and I did decide to go over some of the hand stitches to get those down along the seam for the arm side to hold down all 3 ruffles, and along the back seams. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have the video for the skirt. No, who knows where it's at. Basically, the skirt is just a rectangle, and you are finishing the hem. You're gathering the top of the skirt and ruffling it or gathering it up to match the bodice, and then you're sewing the bodice and the skirt together and finishing all the back edges, closing up the dress and finishing those edges. And basically that's how it goes. This time around I decided to include the sashes, which I have not done in the past couple times I've made Molly's dress. And after messing around with Samantha's sashes, let me tell you that these ones went a lot better. the hardest part for me is always setting in the sleeves. I always feel like I need like a bunch of pins to get around the curve. And of course, turning the curve on the machine is a little complicated, which is why a lot of times I like to do it by hand. But I'm at the machine now, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that accomplished. Now you're missing it between the segment about Molly's shirt. I have no idea where it went, but pretty much it's the same construction as this jumper bodice, except that hers had sleeves and a Peter Pan collar. And so right now I am making stay stitching around the top edge of the bodice. Usually you do the stay stitching if you're going to cut into any part of like an arm's eye or bodice, and it just helps those pieces to keep from kind of unraveling or shredding down. So after I do the stay stitching around the edge, I cut into the edges of the bodice so that when I fold the hem over, that there's not a lot of bulk and it looks kind of smooth and square across. So after the stay stitching, then I'm making a narrow hem all the way around the open neckline for the bodice. After that's done, I sew up the bodice sides and the bodice shoulders. After that, it's time for the skirt. Unlike the other skirts that I have done previously, this one is pleated, not gathered. So I'm making very careful to mark where the tucks are and where the pleats are. When you do the tucks, the two dots fold into each other, and you've got the tuck is on the wrong side of the fabric. I make sure to fold the tuck to one side or the other, depending basically on the pattern. When you get to the pleats on this pattern, there are pleats in the center, and the arrows will show you which direction to fold the pleats. In this case, you're folding the pleats to the center. So you have two pleats turned towards the center. That's what gives the dress its look. Afterwards, you match the bodice and the skirt together, stitch them together, finish all of the edges that you would like to finish. I do a zigzag because I don't have a serger, and then go ahead and fold over the top edges of the bodice all the way down to the joining point of the dress on the skirt part, and then stitch that all together and it's complete. So I cannot believe I lost the other footage because it's kind of important to see the Molly school shirt being made. Molly's school shirt has a placard, which you should be able to see at the top right here. And basically what happens is this is a regular bodice, and then the two bodice sides, and you actually fold this rectangle over as a pretend placard. Placard, if you don't know what that means, that's where the buttonholes go on your shirt. And usually it's like double folded over and kind of double thickness on a lot of shirts. So you take the folded placard rectangle, you fold the edges in, they're like 1/8 of an inch, fold over or double fold, and then you stitch the 2 lines, one on either side, down to the bottom of the blouse. And so that would have been really important to see. So that's what that means. The placard is actually, it's somewhere odd on the pattern. I think it's with the pajamas or it's something like that. So if you print out the pattern specific to what you're actually working on, like I did, you're gonna miss it because it's not in the sequence of files for the school jumper. I think it's on with the pajamas or something like that. So if you can print out all of Molly's patterns, or when you go to do the jumper, you kind of have to go back through the other patterns and find the little placard piece that goes on there. And then after that are the Peter Pan colors that go onto here. Now I made a mistake. This is a mistake I should not have made, but it was probably me sewing later than I should have been sewing. I thought that I made her collar or her sleeves a little longer than normal, because when you go to fold the sleeves in on the underside, you always have this little teeny bit of fabric here to work with. And so I wanted to make sure I had a little extra fabric to turn that and make it look neat. Well, obviously I turned too much fabric because now these don't meet and I can't close her sleeve. So what I'm going to wind up doing is unstitching this and undoing the ruffle and then stretching the ruffle back out to where it's supposed to be and just stitching it like that and then folding it cleanly and folding it small and just doing it by hand so that it will fit on her wrist. And surprisingly enough, of all the sleeves I've made this entire year that I've been making the doll clothes, I've never done that before. So this was just a hiccup and I somehow got carried away and folded too much back. At any rate, here's her school jumper, which I also slided somewhere, but still turned out fine. You can see this big pleat in the center. It is just so adorable. And let me show you her birthday dress. I'm not going to undress her like I did Samantha. That was like a big production. She's already up. And this will be the one that's for her. Note the sashes, which are really cute. So that takes me through the Pleasant Company patterns. I've been trying to decide what I was going to do next in the sequence. The whole goal is to get all the historicals done, hopefully before like July or something like that. We'll see how it goes. So I can make summer fall clothes for everybody, which kind of starts the sequence all over again. But at any rate, I think I'm going to go back to maybe Caroline. I have clothing for Caroline because I made it with Kit from that time period before I had Caroline. But I don't have anything specific for her, and I don't have anything for Marie Grace. So I think if I don't go back to Caroline, I'll go back to Marie Grace and cover that early 1850s and get her something to wear. And then I'm going to dip back and do the patriotic dress for Eddie. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have any questions about the Pleasant Company patterns, Molly in specific, or any of the Pleasant Company patterns, let me know and I'll do my best to answer those questions. Take care. Have a great day.